So I'm going to call this meeting to order, and we have one addition, the Conservation Commission number 14, under warrants for and bills for payment. But with that, we'll go to the minutes of April 25th.
I move that we approve the minutes of April 25th.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then we have warrants 23, 23P, and then the Conservation Commission number 14.
So I'll move that we approve warrants 23, 23P, and Conservation Commission number 14.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? Under warrant 23, the total is $14,999.35. That went towards sand, the sheriff's monthly bill. There were payroll transfers, payments to Green Mountain Power, fuel for the highway department. The dog license fees that had been collected were sent up to the state. And there was a DRB notice that was published in the paper. So, any other discussion?
Oh, look good to me.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have no visitors. And we actually have no road foreman, but at least here. But he did leave us the bid specs for paving. And we need to, he'd like us to approve these. And the areas, it has the specifications for paving and specifies that West Street is to be milled down to the depth of 2 inches with a 2% crown. And the areas to be paved are West Street and the community center. And at the milling, when milling, the contractor will supply traffic control and a sweeper. So this will go out to Basin, Vermont Roadworks, Springfield Paving, Warner Brothers, Lane Construction, and there's one more Lee couldn't remember off the top of his head. But what would you like to do?
And I think we got a communication from Hugh that,
He was in favor.
yep,
Yeah.
it all looked good to him as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll move that we approve the bid specs as presented by Lee.
I'll second that.
Okay, any more discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll let Lee know the good news. And these will go out tomorrow, and at our meeting on May 23rd, we will open the bids.
Okay.
So I'll
Wasn't
sharpen my knife.
Evans the other one?
There was one more that,
Evans?
I'm not sure he
No.
does paving.
Oh, right, no.
Excavating.
No.
That was the.
No, let's see, it was someone who does some work in Brattleboro, but Lee just couldn't
Yeah,
remember.
okay.
So,
I thought I had it.
let's see. Is there anything, we have on our agenda the Municipal Roads General Permit. That's been in our file for a while. And as it's due on July 31st, we thought we should address it finally, but Maria did some research.
They haven't actually created the application form yet at the state level.
So it's something we have to just
Wait.
And
keep
do
in.
we have a sense of what's gonna be on the application level, so we can, on the application form, so we
I
can?
don't. Lee may, I don't.
Okay, because I mean, if they're gonna only give us a short window to fill it out, we should at least have a bulleted list of
Yeah.
what
I
it
mean,
is.
Lee may very well know,
Okay,
or have an idea,
okay,
Yeah, so
but I don't.
good.
I'll check with him next time
Yeah.
I see him. And so we'll just keep that and check back with them to see when the application is ready.
Mhm.
Is there anything under correspondence for information that you'd like to discuss?
I remember we got the zoning administrator's report right before our last meeting, so
Right.
we looked at that, it was pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm. Right,
First one I had seen, so.
yeah. Okay, under correspondence for discussion and or action, there was an email from Rich Cogliano regarding, there's an emergency management director course for this Saturday in Townsend. And he's going to be teaching it, and he thought that now that we're the emergency management directors, we might. So I'm signed up and ready to go, but
Thank you.
yes, I'm going to, I know this is, I'm going to be able to use this as a bargaining chip later, later on. But he also is involved with the Vermont Alert notification system.
Mhm.
And he would like to have a meeting with probably 3 people, probably Lee, Lori, and then a select board member who would be it would be a training so these 3 people could send in the Vermont Alert notification to the system. So he'd like to do that sometime.
As a practice, just to make sure that it's working, what do you mean?
No, he actually has to show these 3 people how to do it,
Oh, I
how
see.
to do the
Yeah.
process.
Okay.
And then he might want to come in just
Mhm.
at a regular meeting and go over the Vermont Alert system, just so we can use the VCTV to get the word out more
Right.
to people.
Yeah, Vermont Alert, so I have that as an app on my phone.
Okay, anything more on that? Okay,
Nothing's scheduled yet, though. for
no,
the-
nothing's
okay.
scheduled. Under new business, we had a question about the local speed ordinance, which is, I guess, chapter 23, VSA 1007 in Vermont statutes. And we put that on because I heard an article on the radio that some towns, if they don't have this local speed ordinance, they aren't able to get their share from fines that are generated off of state highways.
Mm.
So we wanted to look into that and make sure we had. Lori went into the archives in the cellar that's underneath this building.
Oh.
Have you seen that?
I have not.
Oh, yeah,
No.
well, it's up next to.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And pulled out, if I can lay my hands, it's one of these green folders. I don't know why we have 4 green folders. But here is the document from 2003, I think. Yep, 2003. The select board at the time went through the process of writing an ordinance for the speed limits on state highways. So
Great, so we're all set.
we're all set. And Hugh checked with the sheriff's department just to make sure they were aware of that, and they were. And he was also going to check with the state police just to make sure they were.
So that means will we get partial payment for speeding tickets on state roads?
Yes, Route 30 and Route 5.
Uh-huh. And have we been?
Apparently we have. And the sheriff was going to send us a tally of what that looks like.
Okay.
So
But we have been receiving those funds.
That's what he says, yeah.
Okay.
So, let's see, planting a memorial tree. So there's been talk about planting a tree, a sugar maple, on outside here in the town office property. So because it's town property, we have to ask permission of the select board, because it's not a select board
Right.
process, or it's not being done by the select board. We have to be able to get permission from the select board to do that.
Maybe we could do that.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, maybe I should recuse myself, because I'm involved with sort of this.
Well,
I can make a motion.
yeah.
Okay,
Why don't
go
you-
ahead.
My very first one.
All right,
Okay, so I'm making a motion that we allow the tree to be planted, or are we just, okay, yeah, there we have it. On town property, here at the town office.
I'll second that.
okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right,
Sounds like we have the select board's permission.
yes, great. All right, moving on. Well, Vermont League of Cities and Towns held a listening session trying to get input from, or listen to concerns and thoughts that their member boards had in mind. And it was last week, a week ago.
Yes, and I attended.
Gerald, and you get
Yes.
some extra credit for that. But you want to let us know?
Yeah, I was really pleased to go. So
I was pleased that you went.
3 or 4 people from VLCT came down from Montpelier, and we met at the Brattleboro Municipal Center. There were probably a dozen people that represented Dover, Guilford, Vernon, Brattleboro, Whitingham, Bellows Falls, and Rockingham. And they were a variety of people. There was a lister, a town clerk, a town treasurer, some select board members, town manager, town administrator, and Maura Carroll, who's the executive director of VLCT, spoke, and she said after 50 years of VLCT service to the state of Vermont, they're looking to prioritize the next 50 years, and so these listening sessions are all around the state gathering information. So she opened it up to the group and asked for challenges. What challenges are people facing? So I just took note of the topics, and it's just interesting. I'll read down these and you can kind of like ask yourself, well, is that a challenge that we feel also? So one was economy, sort of a healthy, strong rural economy, attracting young people to their towns, places for older people to go. I think that meant to live. Transfer station, healthy internal town communication. What kind of vehicles of communication do people have in their towns? Regional collaboration, EAP services, so employee assistance program. One person said that there was this rule that they could only a single person could go, and they wanted to go as a group in the town. They all had the same issue and they wanted to be able to discuss it together, but that wasn't allowed. So that was kind of interesting. Financial savings by collaborating among towns, what opportunities existed. So VLCT is listening for how can we help the towns better. Listening to these challenges is something that VLCT could do to help towns collaborate to realize financial savings. Insurance issues. There was an issue of towns not being able to allow residents to use the town buildings because of liability issues. road crew staffing, so when you need a new person on the road crew or you need a new road foreman, you know, like where are those people being cultivated in
Right.
the state? State and federal regulations coming down on towns, where the town doesn't necessarily have the resources to support those regulations that are coming down. And I have to say with this one, you know, so there were some examples, like the specs for culverts. That's a state regulation now that we have to follow. The road inventory that we have to do. Open meeting rules and rules around social media having to do with open meeting law. And different contract requirements. And I have to say that in listening to people a little bit whining about state regulations, I was actually really proud of our town because I feel like we've embraced a lot of those. And when Lee showed me around the garage, the town garage area, relative to the culverts, for example, like he's got these concrete barriers that he puts up over them, and you know, he just seems like he's ahead of the curve. Like he's not letting these things push him from behind, but he's paying attention to what the regulations are and kind of getting ahead of them. So I felt good about that. So then VLCT asked, you know, sort of.
I asked you a question?
Yes.
What, did you have a concern that you raised?
Yeah, I raised the one about road crew staffing,
Ah,
because we had a hard time filling a position, and
It's a very,
Yeah.
it's a skill set that's really hard to
I
find in
have
one person.
I have so much of a broader understanding of what it takes to be a road foreman, and I just don't see that, you know, as something that's being cultivated at the career center or you know, anyway, so that's what I brought up as a was there another one? Yeah, I mean, I think we have aspects of the other ones that were mentioned. So then Carol brought up the question to us of, you know, sort of what's the future of town government? And that was a little bit to help towns understand that advocating in Montpelier is important, and that towns really have power, and we need to exercise that power, and part of exercising that power is paying attention. And VLCT sends out a legislative report, and that those are important to read, and that they have this quarterly, I think, newsletter that they send out. Let's see, they asked about, you know, are we getting too many emails? What business services might we need that they could help to provide? IT support, things that we're having as a town to hire for that maybe they could help regionally offer services for. So it was great, it was really informative, and I felt like they were really listening, and there was also a great expression of appreciation for VLCT on the part of the other towns. I think we certainly feel that.
Yes, yeah, they're a very valuable resource to us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, one of the things that was mentioned is having them do trainings more regionally rather than always up
Right,
at Lake Maury or Burlington, Montpelier, always up north. And they said that they've been thinking about doing that, but it takes staff away from the office. They're a small staff. And so we would need to be patient with not necessarily getting somebody on the phone and getting a question answered immediately. You know, it might mean leaving a message and having somebody get back to us if they end up doing more regional, because they're not in a position to hire more staff. So if they're actually out of the office more often, then, because it would make one training maybe into 3 trainings that they do regionally.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. I'd be willing to be patient getting an answer if I didn't.
Have to drive 3 hours.
Burlington,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
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 Did they give you any sense as to their timeline for, you know, taking in all this information and then coming up with their prior, you know, their action?
I think it's in the next 3 or 4 months.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
a pretty short time.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, was impressive.
I'm glad you went. Thank you for going. Let's see. Let's see, anything else? Any other business?
Did you get this?
Oh, got it. Yeah. I hate to get dressed up just for a short meeting like this, but I don't know that we can drag this out any longer.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
All right, I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.